Okay, hello everyone. Mr. Betcher,
Hello.
say hello to everybody.
Yeah. Am I
Uh-oh,
on?
I can't hear you now.
Oh,
Oh, great. This is what I get. Just keep talking. Say
okay.
nice things about me. There we
Well,
go. Okay. Honestly, I got you. I got you. Uh, uh, no, I don't know why OBS will not automatically default to output and what was it? Output and there's a section where you do audio monitoring and there are three options and it's monitor off, which means I don't hear your output. There's monitor only, mute output. So, I
hmm,
don't know what that one means. And then output and monitor, which means I hear it in my ear and the stream hears it, but I don't hear it. I hear it and the stream hears it, but yeah, whatever. Monitor only means I would hear it, but the system didn't hear it. So anyway, sorry to pull back the curtain there. It's something that always causes me issues with the Zoom. So, Mr. Betcher, how are you, sir?
doing good. Yeah. Really,
Okay,
really busy, but
okay,
I guess that's a
right
good
on.
thing.
Yeah, this day and age, yeah, I think that's probably always a good thing to be gainfully employed. There's a lot of folks out there that are still trying to figure out what their next moves are, and um, yeah, I saw a lot of that at Bsides Seattle. We'll talk about a little bit about that. We'll talk about Bsides Austin as well, which you went to a couple weeks ago. Got a couple things of housekeeping before we go. Welcome to our audio listeners of the BreakSec podcast. We're recording this one for audio, and welcome to everybody who is triple casting with us on Twitch, YouTube, and LinkedIn. If you're interested in listening to us that way, you can go to twitch.tv/breaksec or youtube.com/C's and Charlie, lowercase c, and then /BDS, capital B, capital D, capital S, capital P podcast. So BDS podcast, but all four of those done. Um, and those links will be in the show notes. So
Trifecta.
one other, what's that?
We're running the trifecta today.
Well, yeah, I've got that kind of down to an art, and I do that when we're doing recordings or interviews or something. So
Hmm.
that's good. But yeah, so I'd like to thank Trash Panda for following yesterday. VA2XJM, which looks like somebody's ham radio identifier, maybe. Anna Capster, and thank you to VM Smith01 for resubscribing again for 9 months in a row. That's awesome. So thank you so much for resubscribing. And last but not least, today's episode is brought. Wait. I gotta get my announcer voice on. Oh, man, I'm good. Look at you, VA2XJM. Can I just call you Vax or Vac V2? I don't know what to call you. What do I call you, Jim? Yeah. Anyway, we'll figure that out. Let me get my announcer voice on. Today's episode of the Break Sex Security Podcast is brought to you by Blumera, which provides easy to use SIM and XDR, which can be set up in minutes. Teams of all sizes can resolve security threats faster with detection rules written by BreakSec's own Amanda Berlin. Learn more at blumera.com/break. Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah. Um, I'm working on that. I'm working on that. No, what are you what are you laughing at? Hey, Josh, thank you. But yeah, so um, it's just I'm working on different voices and stuff because I would once we get settled back in San Diego, I definitely want to start working on voiceover work and stuff. So looking forward to making that stuff happen as well. But yeah, so yeah, how are you doing, sir? You said you're doing all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Hanging
Okay,
in there.
all right. I got a haircut today. Yeah, pretty good. Um, yeah, it gets longer in the summertime. I don't know why, but anyway,
That tends to happen.
yeah, 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 I assume it's because I'm doing protein shakes and stuff like that. I don't know, but getting down to we got like how many days? How many days? We got 10 days plus 20. We got 31 days left. 31 days in Seattle. So And then we'll be in our new house in San Diego. As a matter of fact, next weekend I will be making a special appearance in San Diego. Uh, if anybody's interested and lives in the San Diego area, feel free to hit me up, and I'll see what we can do about something on the 31st or 1st when I'm hanging out. So
You're gonna hit the Ollies one
going
last
down,
time?
going to hit the what now?
The Ollies, the Olympic National Park mountains.
Oh God, no. That okay. So I live in. So some people say Seattle's Western Washington, but we actually in the smack middle of the state, and so
Yeah,
the Olympic Mountains are like 4 hours away,
four
and
hours.
I don't believe we'll have time between then and now to do that. So if I do ever do that, I will probably come back as a tourist. It's a lovely place. I
Oh
went
yeah.
out there. It's very lovely. The Crescent Lake area is beautiful, and yeah, but yeah, if you ever get a chance to come up here, the Olympic Peninsula, the Olympic Mountains, the Cascades are nice. Yeah, the Columbia River Gorge and Walla Walla area is, if you're into wine, you can't go no better than the Walla Walla Valley. So yeah. And if you're a Twin Peaks fan, come out to Snoqualmie, come out to North Bend, where I live, and check out all the Twin Peaks stuff. So you got that going for you too. So,
And of course the
okay,
volcano.
so
At least you're getting away from that, right?
you heard about that, huh? The landslide up here in Mount St. Helens. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The funny that so where was it? What did the wife say? We were just talking about that the other day. We went about 5 years ago to Hawaii and saw Mauna Loa, or no, Kilauea, and then like 2 months later it explodes. It starts erupting. We did a South America trip and went to a beautiful lake in Chile, and they were like, "Oh, that volcano up there hasn't, it's completely dormant. Nothing has happened for years." And it's like 2 3 months later, boom.
Yeah.
And then so we heard about the landslide here, and we're like, "Well, we're about to leave in 30 days, so we'll just give it some time."
It's warming up, man. It's warming up. Just never go to
Yeah.
Yellowstone, please. We don't want
I
that one to
well, yeah,
blow.
that caldera would be a whole nother glass of Tang, or
It would
whatever euphemism you want to
yeah,
use
it would
there. So
basically start the fourth age of man at that point if it ever blew its top.
is that the one where the astronaut comes back and he's like, "You blew it up, damn you," or whatever?
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
right on. All right. So we do have stuff to talk about for those of you on the audio podcast. I apologize for those of you who came to listen to our discussion of B-Side Seattle. We also have B-Sides Austin. Mr. Betcher attended B-Sides Austin, and so we're going to talk about some of that. We're also going to talk about, let's see, patching the unpatchable. I'd like to talk about what it would take to patch something like the newest secure boot bug that came out. Um, Maybe a security model that people have never heard of. And then I'd like to talk a bit about power and influence with Mr. Betcher, about what that means for people. Anyway, so Mr. Betcher, I'll let you start first. You said before we started, literally, that you went to B-Sides Austin like 2 weeks ago. So, we hadn't seen each other in 3 weeks. So, how was the trip? What did you see at B-Sides Austin?
It was good. There was a lot of good defensive talks. The offensive talks got more audience though. So
Obviously.
yeah. And um, yeah, they had people from all over the state come in, like some people from Houston, Dallas, come in and give a talk. So it was good
Okay.
to, have people from all over the state. Yep.
Right on. Right on. Any talk in particular that you saw that you enjoyed?
There was one tabletop exercise, which was pretty good, actually. They went over a scenario where what do you do when your people start getting smishing, right? And
Smishing. Right.
basically go over how you would defend against that. A lot of people say there's nothing you can do because it's their personal cell phones, right?
Right.
But there are some things that you can do, especially if they're trying to get them to log in with links,
Okay.
sending the links into their cell phone, things like that. So that was a good one. How to build a security operations center. It's pretty good.
Oh,
Um,
very
they had
cool.
a talk on AI, and
Uh-huh.
that was decent. Um, Nothing there that I already knew, but a lot of people in the audience had not used ChatGPT. So
Right.
I gotta say, you really need to use it. Don't get left behind.
Okay.
That's the new
Right.
hotness. And if you're not fully embedded in what AI can do for you and how it can help you be productive in this industry, um, you're going to go to the way of the dinosaur because it's really going to help everyone in the next couple of years, right? And it'll be
Very cool.
hard to. I think it's going to raise the bar for employees. Like if you can't write
Right.
a good document, and your peer can, right?
Right.
Because they know how to use AI. Um, yeah, they're going to excel, and you're going to fall behind.
Okay.
There's so many things that you can ask it to help you. Like, okay, I have this issue where I need to delete um, empty groups in Active Directory, right? So to clean it up.
Right.
So you're sitting there banging away for 2-3 hours writing a script and testing it to be able to do that because you got some code off the internet and you're just ask ChatGPT to write it for you. You know, you still need
Yeah.
to test it, but it's going to be 80% there, most likely. So don't
Nice.
so
Okay.
don't spend all that time trying to write PowerShell code. It'll spit it out in a few seconds, and then all you have to do is make some adjustments based on um, your organizational, you know, intricacies or um, yeah, basically the customization is that last
Right.
20% based on whatever your organizational unit is. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, there, I don't want to ask how much FUD there was, but I mean, was there, you know, what did you find interesting about that other than, it's the future and there's going to be, if you're not good at writing papers, Chat GPT is going to kick your ass or make you a superstar. Was there anything that you got out of the AI talk that it was like, oh, I could go do that now, or I could take that back to work and start working on that now, kind of thing?
The writing code, you can also do summaries. Like, let's say you have a project and you take notes and you want to kind of do an executive summary of those notes. It can write it for you in seconds, and
Mm.
it's pretty good. You can do that. I would say do not let it write executive summaries like for a pen test. You don't want to give that data to
Right.
Chat GPT, and if your clients find out, that's not going to you're not going to have a good day. And there are probably ways that are hidden within the text of Chat GPT right now
Hmm.
that in the future people can go back and say, okay, Chat GPT wrote this. Like just the
Okay.
way it writes, and maybe it has certain values of text in certain ways, certain punctuation, things like that. So be wary of that as well. Uh, just
Right.
just as a precursor, just kind of say, okay, if I take this from Chat GPT, somebody somebody may be able to tell that it was actually from AI and not from myself. So yeah, don't do pen test reports and things like that because that's stuff that you don't want, and you contracted not to release it to other entities. You got to keep that private. So
Right.
um,
Okay.
yeah.
You mentioned, I'm hoping that they talked on some of the privacy issues there, or talked. Good God. They spoke about some of the privacy issues there, like, don't upload your company's IP. If you're the marketing person, maybe don't, because it's like Grammarly, right? It's going to take everything, and we've already seen examples, or they've already talked about a data breach that's happened. So some of that data is going to end up in their model being as training. So maybe meeting notes from a meeting that is internal that you can deign as not completely
Mhm.
private, it would be okay. But it's like, if you're talking about some kind of secret project, you're not going to be taking those notes and using them for a for an executive summary there. Um, did they talk about any of the privacy stuff at all on that?
Well, other than don't upload stuff that you want to keep private because you don't know where it's going. You don't
Right,
know. I mean,
right,
it keeps your history forever, right? It knows
right.
if you've had 100 if you said 100 questions to it, um, it actually knows what you've already asked it and it'll help it answer follow-up questions as well. So that doesn't go
Okay,
away as far as we
okay,
know.
okay. Sorry, I was splitting out some of my
And there
my
are other
UIs in case people are making comments over here.
there's other AIs and Google's got theirs.
Right,
Um,
right. Okay.
one thing they did say was, yeah, I mean the what is it called? The event horizon, what is it? The yeah,
On a
basically
black
when it
hole, you mean like, yeah,
no, it's
point of
where
no return?
point of no return. Well, it's more like
Yeah.
when it becomes self-aware. What is that term?
Oh,
I forget. But that's a long way away right now, is what
yeah,
they were saying.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah, I've got the list of talks that were up here. I know David O'Hale. That's good. I saw Docker scanning Docker images for fun and compliance. David O'Hale was member of the B-Sides when I was there, when I lived there in like 2012, 2013 timeframe. Very good to see that he's out talking. So Matt Pardo is the organizer still, besides Austin.
Yes.
Oh, very
And
nice. Okay.
Janice as well.
Oh, very cool. Okay. Oh yeah, Bloodbound says technological singularity. Hey, Bloodbound, what's up? How you doing? So yeah, cool. So right on. So yeah, I mean that looks great. So this is you said this was a 2-day conference or a 1-day
One
conference?
one day.
1 day. Okay.
It was at
Yeah.
the
Besides,
University of Texas campus there.
oh
They have a
nice.
nuclear reactor. It's where I used to do. Well, they had a couple of supercomputers there back when I was in college. That was all the
Okay.
rage, right? And
Yeah.
they used to be a couple of the fast or the top 10 in the world at the time.
Right.
And so it was cool taking a parallel programming class and actually getting time on those things. So
Nice.
I don't know if they're
Yeah.
still in
Yeah.
operation or what.
I bet you there. I bet you they are. They still would. They still crunch some numbers. So yeah. I can't imagine. Just because they're not super fast doesn't mean they can't crunch some. Numerical weather models or something. Prime numbers or something like that. So yeah. Very nice. Yeah, if it wasn't 2 time zones, I would definitely think about coming back here. I actually, I'm thinking about putting down in my calendar next May to come back up to Seattle because one, I would still be able to check in with some of my team members, but the other one is, besides Seattle's happening. So yeah, it's good that it's Have you ever did anybody notice you or recognize you, or and how many people did you get to hang out with since the
Just a
you
handful,
know
right?
that's good.
Josh Schokel, who was on the podcast, I saw him.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
How's he doing? He started he started like a GRC with his tool that he showed
yeah,
us when it was
simple
in like
risk.
super beta. Yeah,
Yep.
simple
I
risk.
talked to him
Yeah.
about it. He's doing good. Um,
Okay.
he's got 13 employees, is what he was saying. So,
No kidding.
yeah,
Wow. All right. Good for him. Fantastic. Okay. Well, it might be time to have him back on to talk about some risks or something. So
yep.
yeah. Hold on a second. I got something here. So Make sure we don't have anybody trying to chat on our LinkedIn or our YouTube channels here. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I went to B-Side Seattle, which happened yesterday, because I wanted to see some of my friends up here, some of the community, some of my folks like Mike, Digital Warhead was here, CPO Parker, for those of you who are regular listeners of our stream, Walt, who was recovering from an operation, so it was good to see him up and about. Got to see Tanya Yanka, who we've had on the show a couple of times. It was awesome to see her. I didn't get to see her until she was almost leaving the conference, which was it was a good opportunity. And it was weird because she tweeted out, "Hey, I got to see Brian Brake at B-Side Seattle," and I was like, "No, no, no, it's more like I got to see Tanya at B-Side Seattle." Um, it was good to see her. It was good to see a lot of folks, Don, who we've had on, CSEC East and stuff. And so, yeah, I went into the talks because um, I am, I'm not, I'm not technical so much anymore. As I told somebody at the meeting, because I saw some of the ex Leviathans that I used to work with, saw Jeff Costello, who I've had a good relationship with in the past few years. I believe he's the CISO over at Gigamon, I think. Don't quote me on that. Yeah, a lot of excellent people. Got to see Tracy Martin, that security chick who also used to run DefendCon. So there you go. I didn't mean to put this shirt on today, but I just saw DefendCon. So she's looking for work and she's going to be moving down to Arizona soon. So, but yeah, I got to see her talk and that was excellent. But I didn't go to see the super technical talks. So, there were several talks about optimizing red and blue teams. One of our people saw that one, and there was other ones like here's one talking about quantum revolution, talking about Chat GPT and things. So, um, Tanya's talk was excellent. She was talking about raising awareness and nurturing relationships with developers and trying to help them understand it isn't shift left. It's just getting security in as early as possible in your software development life cycle. She's the member, or she's the Bloodbound. Yeah. I maybe I could get Jeff on to do some sponsorship stuff, but She Hacks Purple is Tanya's stuff. SheHacksPurple.ca, I think, is what it is. Go check that out. She does a lot of AppSec stuff. She does a lot of great work, and she has her own podcast too. So go check that out as well. Um, so my stuff was all about trying to communicate better. I went to Tanya's opening talk. She keynoted, which was an excellent discussion on you can't just throw tools at people to get them to work. A lot of times we security people buy tools and then we just like, well, it's not our problem. We're gonna we'll give it to the developers and they'll have to add it to their workflow or something. And so one of the things she was trying to teach was getting developer buy-in, uh, trying to not just shift left, but to make it so that we're involved, right? We're in the process. We're helping them in some ways. Write those documents. Do the threat model with them, engage with them and the stakeholders when you do the threat model, so that way you can more intelligently design, security measures behind that. So that was a really great opening talk with her. And so I didn't have much to do until, let me see, what was the next one? There was a lot of discussion about, uh, you know, Yara rule sets and stuff like that. What's this say? This site can't be reached when I click on that. Oh, ooh, okay, wait. She hacks purple.com. I put .ca because I know she's in Canada. So there she is. There's Tanya. Yeah, there you go. Sorry about that. Let's grab that there. Sorry. Don't use the shehackspurple.ca. Well, actually, it is shehackspurple.ca. It went right to shehackspurple.ca. You can do shehackspurple.com as well. That works. You can sign up for her mailing list. It's a lot of good stuff there. Oh, okay. Well, as long as that second link works there, Ring Z and welcome Ring Z, then you can make that happen. So there'll be a link in our audio show notes for She Hacks Purple and Tanya Yanka and all this awesome stuff she does. Um, but yeah, there were some good technical talks. I didn't get to see them unfortunately because there were a lot of people I wanted to see. The next one I went to was Industrial IoT. Darren Richardson. Because I'm doing some IoT stuff, I wanted to see what was going on with that. It was okay. There was also, oh no, wait, that was, oh, did I? I must have missed one. Maybe it wasn't all in there. Uh, I did see another talk about um, extended IoT. So there was like some uh, talking about medical devices, and there was some kind of background on the different threat actors that from Russia and China and all those other places. And this person also took a um, Hikvision, Hikvision camera, a Hikvision camera, yeah, and basically using Kali Linux and an exploit that exists on the firmware of some of those devices, got a shell on the system. So he went to exploit DB, downloaded a Python shell program, an exploit off the site, and actually ran it. So he hacked it. The first red flag I got was he was from Phosphorus, I think was the company, and he actually had chief marketing officer as the line under his name, and I was like, hmm, because the first thing I was thinking of was, oh, he's, um, are you still moving, Mr. Betcher? Okay, there you go. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know if you'd froze or not. So no, he's frozen. But so yeah, he went and he was hacking on some box. He was hacking on a computer. He got a shell, port 22. It was an SSH shell. So he went through that, and one of the things was I was interested up until the point where I realized he wasn't going to be hacking a device that I may or may not work on at work. So once I figured out it wasn't one of our devices after I saw his demo, I was like, okay, I'm out. So I left that one a little early because there was another talk I wanted to see. Um, where is? Oh, so yeah, the XIOT one from John Vecchi. He speaks well, and he had some good information about various threat actors, and some of the numbers he had was pretty good. There's like 65 billion devices out in the world right now. About 26% of them are end of life and do not get updates,
Mm.
that kind of thing. So yeah, and he talked a little bit about Mirai, but he's like, yeah, botnets aren't the problem. It's being able to use these to exfil data, because a lot of people put these on their flat networks, and because they're not patched or they don't get patches, or somebody like a Samsung out there will be like, okay, all you have to do is go down, download this patch manually, install it, and do this all these things. And he's like, normal users not going to do that stuff because, one, they don't know how to do that. How do you update the system? How do you get access to the UI? Those kinds of things. It's not an easy process for some of these things.
Exactly. I
So
mean, it should be a
right,
requirement. You like Zoom today. I was 10 minutes early for the podcast, but Zoom was like, you have a
right,
required update. You cannot join this meeting without updating. I was like, ah. And
right.
so, I was forced into it. That should kind of be a
Yep,
requirement in this day and age.
yep, yep. Yeah, and he talked about some medical devices and the hacks on those, and I reminded myself at the time that I was at the hospital with my wife, and he was talking about infusion pumps, and he had a picture of the same infusion pump that my wife was getting saline solution from and medication from. That I was like, yes, I know Telnet's running on that and it's running open with default creds. And he threw out like several. It's like, what was one he was mentioning? Oh, thing when you have a data center, the boxes that you put the computers, the racks.
Hmm.
Some of those racks are smart, right? And some of them, you can control the environment inside of it by making the fans go faster or turn the lights on or off, or what have you. And he said some of those run with default creds. And he's like, there's 500,000 UPSs out there from like APC in those they're on the internet with default creds, which is, I think he said APC. Username is APC, password is APC.
Wow.
Um, Apparently that you can Google those things and find it. I'm not telling people anything that they don't know,
Like
but there's
Shodan or
like certain
something.
server racks out there. Yeah. So that was good. And then, of course, Tracy spoke after, let me see where it was. Oh, Lost in Translation, translating security speak to dev speak. This was really good. I know her. I've known her for several years now, and it's a damn shame that she got let go from where she was. That's definitely that company's loss. From And so she was talking about some of the some of the things that security. And there was a definite theme to some of the talks that I went to, like Tanya's talking about relationship building, trying to get buy-in from folks. The same thing with Tracy on her talk about that as well. Trying to give actionable security feedback. So she was like, it was all about phrasing, like you said, earlier with your talk about, Chat GPT. There's certain ways to explain things like, hey, you got 4,000, vulnerabilities and your app is a piece of ass or something like that. And it's like, that's not good. That is a bad way of saying it. So the better way would be like, let's work together to prioritize 15 of these, in certain order, and try to work with them. The idea is that you don't, in your delivery, you don't go like your app is asshole or elbow. So we need the better way is to take that time, build that relationship, help them understand where they need to make the most impact on these 15 or out of 4,000 findings, and triage the other ones accordingly and get them in the backlog and things. So yeah, it was a really good discussion there. And the last one I think I saw was oh no, I saw this one too. Good snacks, threat modeling, a complete new feature. Brianne Bolin, who went through, and I think it's briannebolin.com. Yep, there it is. Gave some talks about threat modeling. She doesn't use a stride or a pasta model. She suggested those if you don't have any other experience, but she said, a lot of being able to do threat models is kind of just walking through the app and seeing where things come up. And she mentioned things like auth in, auth z, what's your API stuff. She wasn't going over a specific stride or dread stuff, but it was a good discussion about how to um, did I? Oh, there it is. How do you keep users safe with an easy and fun user experience? And I think she gave a good discussion, and you can tell she does a lot of threat modeling about how to, do it as like a team function, like your tabletop exercise. So yeah, it was fun. It was a good discussion. And the last one was about bug bounty programs. I listened to what was DocuSign's bug bounty program. They use BugCrowd for their bug bounties, and they have VRP, a responsible disclosure, link where you can go to, but they also have a private bug bounty. And so what they try to do is, instead of doing a public one, because they have a lot of, I heard some things on the side outside of this about DocuSign, but they have a lot of federal regulation because they're government entity, they government contracts, so they fall under things like FedRAMP and those kinds of things. So the bug bounties they do have to be private, and so if they get something from, like, say, security at something just out of the blue, like, hey, I'm Brian and I found this thing and I'm going to own you up left and right, and what they do is they recommend you apply to their private bug bounty, and then they can properly compensate you for that work. So yeah, a lot of I wanted to go to the vulnerability disclosure one at the same time. Unfortunately, it was happening right across the hall at the same time, and I couldn't go to that one. So I've thought about reaching out to Tina and seeing if we can't get Tina on the show to talk about some of that as well. So, but yeah, as you can see, I didn't go to, like, hunting and you know hiding your web payloads from malicious pesky researchers or whatever. And sorry, the last one I was supposed to go to is JR's, which I do want to talk to JR, Watts, I think, and get him on. He had some AV issues, so I went to find an AV person, and I got sidelined with somebody else and didn't get to see it. But he does a lot of incident response stuff, and I want to talk with him about incident response and notification stuff. So, but sorry, that was way more than what I was expecting to do, but I didn't realize I'd seen so many talks. So, but it's interesting. I went to DerbyCon for 3 days, and I did mostly LobbyCon. I went to the one last year, and they have a lot of great talks at this one. They had 500 people, and it was really excellent to go to. And I'm really sad that I won't get to go to this one next year. Maybe Bsides San Diego will be going on, so I'll get to see what some of that's happening. But oh my, thank God my camera wasn't turned that way. We'd had to make this rating PG-13. So
Oh no.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it got loose. What
I'll tell you later. um, but yeah, so I mean, it was a great conference. If you ever get, they did tease that they're going to make this a 2 day event. So if it is a 2 day event, I definitely will put this in my calendar to get, to come back up because I can stop by work and I can, come for 2 days for the conference. So, and there was also some suggestions because they had some issues with AV. They were going to record the talks, but they didn't get to, which is kind of a good thing and a bad thing because it allowed some people to talk about things uh, without, feeling like they needed to censor themselves. So um, this was good, and the AV stuff I actually suggested because I could come up and help out if they really need somebody, but we'll be talking more about that later on. So but yeah, I hope everyone else who's watching this enjoyed B sides. If you were there at Bsides Seattle or Bsides Austin, would love to hear your thoughts about. Ooh, okay, I would love to hear. Oh, I went red. Oh, green, yellow, red, green, yellow, red, white, green, yellow, red, white. That's interesting. Okay, there we go. We may be having some problems with our. Let me turn off the Discord bits. Um, my my stream was running a little on the slow side there, so I apologize for everybody doing that. Just at ThoughtCon. Oh yeah, ThoughtCon was this way. That was the other thing. I was like, there's like 4 conferences going on this week, and it was NolaCon, ThoughtCon, um, B-Sides Seattle, and there was a fourth one. Yeah. Anyway, there was like 4 conferences going on this weekend. I was like, wow, that's pretty awesome. Oh, I didn't know about Hack Miami, so there was like 5, right? So and that's just here in the U.S. that was happening. So I forget who the fourth one was, but oh, and I heard some Circle City Con's going to go away.
Hmm.
Yeah, they unfortunately they said 2022 they had a lower turnout than expected, and this year is going to be virtual, and that's the last one they're going to have. And
Oh,
I
wow.
was shocked. Hey, Digital Warhead went to B-Side Seattle. Hey, Digital. Got to see got to see Jack Rysider from Darknet Diaries. Not to name drop, but got to introduce Digital Warhead Mike. I got to introduce Mike to Jack. Yeah, a lot of great people there. Jack lives up here in the Pacific Northwest. I won't dox his town that he lives in, but I do know where he lives. It's not the first time I saw him at the event, so it was really nice. A lot of CSEC East folks that come out and was happy to be there. Yeah, it was super cool seeing Jack again. So, yeah, um, and of course, Digital Warhead hacked my Tesla. Uh, he said he sent me a message, a video showing that he had hacked it. So he's now a criminal. He's hardened criminal. Uh, rings at okay. Hey, Beowulf. But yeah, so it was good to see everybody. I'm glad I got to say my byes to people. I'll get to see some folks at CSEC next week. We're gonna have one more before I leave, and maybe I'll get back up here and we'll be able to have another get together or something like that. So right on. Thanks. Hey, Beowulf Music. How you doing? So okay. So I would suggest B-Sides. Usually a local talent, but there was a lot of folks from SFO for us up there. But if you've got a local B-Sides, do what you can to volunteer. If they're taking volunteers, or B-Sides are a great place to go and have your first talk. There were several people I think that raised their hand when they asked if that was the first time they'd ever given a talk. At least up here in Seattle, and I'm sure in Austin, it was, it's a nice, I would say safe kind of, place that you can go and just, share your knowledge with people. and you're going to learn something. You're going to network. You're going to find out that there's meetups and local events and things that are happening. So it's all about building community. As I mentioned, and I kind of ranted. I did a mini rant on Twitter today about building community, and it helps, and it requires everybody's effort to make it happen. So, um, but yeah, if you have a chance, go find a B sides. So yeah, all right. Enough of that. I do want people to stick around and make comments if you want to. Uh, so, Mr. Betcher, what are we going to talk about second?
I do not know. I thought Bsides Seattle was second.
Well,
Okay, what
okay, it could
about
be
third?
second technically. Yeah, let's do third. Secure boot patch. So I talked about this on Friday, but I wanted to get your thoughts on this. This is patching the unpatchable is I think what we're going to go for. So let me give you the chat window here. Have you heard about the secure boot patch that's going to be a pain in the ass to fix?
I've heard of that coming out. It was an O day, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I didn't read up on it. I heard of it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. For those of you who don't know or have been, haven't Digital Warhead says, I always appreciate seeing a diverse group who's comfortable being themselves. Yeah, yeah. To go back to the conference bit a little bit, yeah, that was good. Um, oh, okay. ThoughtCon I always heard was never actually advertised where it was. You had to buy tickets and then just go. Maybe I'm wrong. There was something else there, but yeah, it's always good to see a bunch of people, and I was happy to see a lot of great diversity, and there's a safety team and all that. So yeah, but yeah. So getting back to our story about the patching the O day, I'd mentioned this on Friday, and I said, this is another one of those things after hearing about the XIOT stuff in the patch, and it's like, so Mr. Betcher, let me ask you a question. Let's say your company, I don't know if you're the only security person or you have a team of security people, but they want to apply this patch. Okay,
Okay.
patch is good. Secure patching is good sometimes, mostly. But the problem with it is, they say, where is it? Once you have done this patch, your PC will no longer be able to boot from older bootable media. It doesn't include these fixes. Uh, Windows install media like DVDs and USB drives created using Microsoft's ISO files. Custom Windows install images maintained by IT organizations. Full system backups, network boot drives, including those used by IT departments to troubleshoot machines or deploy new images, or stripped down boot drives that use Windows PE, and any recovery media sold by the OEM PCs. So, given all of that, would you patch this?
I don't know. I'd have to read up more on it because I mean, secure boot, it's been a while since I've actually researched secure boot. I'm talking like 5 years. I don't know,
Yeah.
is it required, right? Or is it just
Well,
something nice
for
to have? Secure boot. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
well, so to give you a little refresher, Secure Boot's the standard developed by members of the PC industry, pretty much spearheaded by Microsoft to ensure that a device boots with only software trusted by the original manufacturer or the OEM. When the PC starts, the firmware checks the signature of the boot software, including UEFI, uh, and if the signatures are valid, the PC boots. Now, when this first was conceived, as you will, back in, well, gods, I was working at Ultra Electronics at the time, so that was like 2011, 2010, sometime around that time frame. Uh, Linux had no way of booting a device with secure boot enabled, so everything had to be disabled, and you had to use legacy boot. That has changed, but the idea is, this is supposed to be the thing that confirms whether or not software is good or not. And it sounds like that
In
there's an
other
issue with.
words, there's no rootkit or bootkit installed.
Right, right. Yeah. So basically, this patch is going to invalidate some keys or invalidate some way that it can compare existing like system backups to what's on the system already. Yes. digital warhead. You're correct. Secure boot also relies on the TPM on the motherboard. Right. Yeah. But so with this patch, what I'm guessing is it reinstalls the secure boot OS or the functions inside secure boot and invalidates a good number of older keys, which is something that I find interesting. And what I'm wondering is, you know, given that information, including things like secure backups, like backups of your Windows box, your
Hmm.
work box, you run this patch, you can't restore from backup.
I don't
So
know.
everything would have to be backed up yet again, and anything you made 2, 3 months ago is now invalid.
Seems pretty risky. And okay, so what if you have an EDR in place? Is that going to cover it if you don't patch?
I don't know. The story that I got from Ars Technica does not mention any kind of um,
Antivirus, does that
yeah.
pick
It
up
doesn't
this
mention
ODay?
yeah. Yeah, the ESET's director of threat research described the severity of Black Lotus and other bootkits to ours. The ultimate takeaway is that Black Lotus is able to install itself on up-to-date systems using the latest Windows version with secure boot enabled. Even though the vulnerability is old, it is still possible to leverage it to bypass all security measures and compromise the booting process of a system, giving the attacker control over the early phase of the system startup. So it sounds like Black Lotus is able to do something that needs to be patched, but to do so invalidates everything else thus far. So it's either protect yourself against Black Lotus, which, like you said, if there's detections in the EDR that can detect, you know, sites or C2 or whatever it is that Black Lotus does, you may be able to get around not having it. But I can definitely see it causing some pain and anguish for some IT departments.
Definitely. I'm just Googling what EDR has to say about this, or antivirus, right? I mean,
Right. So here's yeah, all of these. I'm gonna have all these links inside the show notes as well. As a matter of fact, let me make sure I don't lose this Black Lotus one. Talking about Black Lotus, I'll post it up on the Zoom chat for you there, sir. Uh, so yeah, as of April 12th, Microsoft shared guidance to detect Black Lotus UEFI bootkit attacks. So there's some IOCs in here. Note defenders can look for the following artifacts: recently created or locked bootloader files, presence of a staging directory used during the Black Lotus install, EPS :/ file system, registry key modification for hypervisor, HVCI, hypervisor protected code integrity, network logs, and boot configuration logs. So it does leave artifacts. So the thing is, I don't know if once it's left the artifacts, that's evidence that it's already done whatever it needs to do to your UEFI system. Was it exposed manufacturing and driver keys? I don't know. Hey, Walt. Hey, how you doing, buddy? Um, yeah, I'm not sure. Let me see if it gives any information about that. 2022 21894 vulnerability. That's the CVE for whatever the Black Lotus does. Let me see if there's a link to that somewhere. MSRC portal. Let me see if they've got anything here. Okay, so Secure Boot security feature bypass vulnerability released in 2022, early 2022. So this is, I can't really call that an O day if they're talking about Black Lotus and then they mentioned it in this one. Um, yeah, yeah, I don't know. Dink, dink, dink. There you go. Make sure I get all this. Come on, man. There we go. So just to make it a little longer here. So the attack vector is local, complexity is low, privileges required are high. That probably means like authorized privileges required significant administrative control over the vulnerable component. Does not require user interaction. Scope is unchanged, so that means exploited vulnerability can only affect resources managed by the same security authority. In this case, the vulnerable component. The scope thing is always kind of confused me as to what that means. And then CIA is none, high, and none. So confidentiality, integrity, availability. But yeah, I I don't think I've seen a patch like this in a really long time, where it's like patching this could disrupt your whole system, your whole network. Because how many people have got backups, months and months of backups, not necessarily from Windows devices, but some of them are Windows backups, Windows servers, what have you. If you're running this, secure boot patch, might as well toss those backups.
And if things go
You
wrong,
know,
can you unpatch? Or do you have
I
to
don't believe you can.
like go from backup, but you can't restore from backup because you patched? Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. I suspect
Yeah.
people won't take the risk. It's just
Well, according to Ars Technica, it says it'll take nearly a year to finish patching, and I'm like, Microsoft may be the one patching it, but during this time, during this 2 to 3 month window after you patch this, you're going to lose a lot of data. I mean, you've lost. I don't. If anything, this is going to make people have to restore backups to make sure that they've got the information that they need before they patch this shit and blow these things away. So they're gonna have to restore to like a virtual machine or something if they can, and then run the patch so that all the data is on there while you're running the patch, and then run the backup again or something like that. I don't know what this is going to look like for IT folks.
or maybe instead of patching, you can, set up alerts because this thing is um, detectable. Black Lotus is
Yeah.
detectable. So have really great alerts. And if you see a system with it, just reimage it, right?
Right.
Flash the firmware or whatever you have to do. It's a boot kit, right? Not a root kit. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Bootkit. First known real world malware that can bypass secure boot protection.
I
Yep.
guess the secure boot protections had some flaws,
Yeah.
some race conditions or
It's
whatnot.
yeah, it's really rough. I mean, I don't think I've seen one. You know, I don't think I've ever seen another patch that this awful. I mean, I've seen ones that like I have seen ones that it's like if you apply this, you could invalidate your backups, but nothing like where you could potentially brick machines or make it impossible for you to do something like this. I mean,
Yeah.
this is and plus you have to manually install it, which is we have a hybrid workforce, so are you going to have Joe from accounting? Hey, run the CXE
I suspect
or
that this is going to be one of those that it's like, okay, as we do our upgrades, we have a
right,
3, 5 year old computer, let's get rid of that, get a new one,
right,
dish it out to the
right,
next employee, that kind of thing. Attrition for
right.
hardware. Yeah, it's eventually going to come to that, I bet.
Yeah, this feels like not just a year. It's going to take 2 to 3 years as we wean people out. Or this is
Or
going to be
wean
one of those
systems
ones
out.
where you're not going to be sending. Yeah, you're not going to be sending an email to somebody saying, "Hey, please click on the CXE and make it happen." It feels very much like um, the talks I saw at Bsides Seattle. It's like where you need to work with your developers or your IT folks. Security is going to have to step up here and have like a good plan on how the IT people are going to help deploy this stuff, onesie twosies kind of things. You're going to definitely want to test this on a server, and figure out how to restore your backups and those kinds of things. So you may actually want to even keep a couple of servers that haven't been patched, dark in case something does happen and you need to restore your backups to get that data in the next few months. So
Yeah.
I could definitely see this being a rotating kind of thing, and you definitely don't want to patch your whole fleet at one time.
Does
So
secure
you
boot
definitely want to
apply
segment.
to VMs?
I want to. So somebody will correct me on the chat if I'm wrong, but I do believe that virtual machines have like a virtual TPM. I do not know if it actually affects. Let me go see. Secure boot patch. Secure boot patch VMs. Microsoft confirms VM secure boot issue causing boot. No, that's something else, isn't it? Yeah. Let me see. Did the uh, yeah, so you need to install May updates, use a 5-step process to manually apply and verify a pair of revocation files. So yeah, you have to use the DMI thing that comes with Secure Boot, where you got the blue screen and it's got the little blue ASCII kind of box and verifying those things. That all requires you to be physically in front of the box without the box up to a boot. It's looking for opportunities to accelerate the schedule. It doesn't mention anything about VMs in the Ars Technica document. Let me go see. Does this affect? Oh, yeah. So I mean, there's hypervisor protected code integrity. So I'm wondering if it doesn't affect them in some way. Um, I mean, if you backed up your VMs before on the server before you've issued the patch, those VMs will have to be put somewhere, or you'll have to make new backups as soon as you run these patches.
So I don't understand if somebody can write malware that'll affect the boot process. Why can't you write, let's say, good malware to unaffect
Mhm.
that boot process or overwrite what has been written? Just, that kind of
Yeah,
patch,
I
right?
am
Maybe a temporary thing,
right.
but just undo that, not necessarily patch it, but just fix it. Um,
Right.
you know, I've cleaned up hundreds, maybe thousands of pieces of malware just by seeing, okay, where's it located? What are the run keys? Things like that. Let me delete it. I don't have to re-image. You just have to figure out what the malware does,
Right.
right? And undo those particular things. Okay, I've deleted the binary and I've deleted the run key. So the malware's clean.
Right.
The system's clean, no more malware. Why can't that be done to this? Right.
That's a good point. I mean, the fact that there are registry keys and stuff in there does make sense that, you'd be able to detect this and wipe those before it became an issue. Um, I don't know what it would take to actually run the patch myself, and I'm actually good thing I don't need this on my box, but I have a Lenovo laptop, and I'm like, yeah, I don't run backups, but it's like, if I ever wanted to, my worry is that if I, made a backup and then patched it and then I couldn't get the backup back in or something happened on startup because I dual boot my laptop. So it's like, will I screw something up and not be able to boot the Linux install on the system as well? So
Yeah.
there's some use cases there that I'm just not ready to, do, given, the recent, I've been trying to learn how to use Linux with things like OBS in them, and it getting to the point where it's like maybe I don't need Windows so much anymore. I've only got a couple more years on this box before I can't update Windows 10 on it. So it's like maybe I'll just switch over to Linux when I'm done with this. Keep a Windows VM or something like that for the minor bits. Yeah, yeah, there's just a lot to unpack with this. That
Yeah.
they did the article that I did find did say that Black Lotus claims to come with anti-virtual machine, anti-debug, and code obfuscation features to block malware analysis attempts. So maybe you can get a copy of it and analyze it, but you'd have to put it on a physical box. And it's tiny. It's only 80 kilobytes. So yeah, it can disable built-in Windows security protections such as HVCI, Hypervisor Protected Code Integrity, and Windows Defender Bypass Control (UAC). So yeah, I'm not smart. So if any of our viewers are, or somebody listening to the podcast can hit us up on our Discord and let us know if it does have that. I would love to have that information. So yeah, I think this is a thorny problem, and this may not be the last time. If Black Lotus is the first, I mean, now we've got Black Lotus version 1.0, and then what's 2.0, and and then we're going to have these constant patchings of the secure boot where we're going to have to manually install this thing. All somebody has to do is tweak Black Lotus a little bit. Maybe it doesn't keep a registry entry next time. Maybe it becomes fileless. Um, I use the quotey fingers fileless because I know how you feel about the fileless malware, the fileless stuff like that. So it has to exist somewhere. If it exists in memory all the time or exists somewhere, but it does leave something. So we actually had a whole show on based on fileless malware, if I remember correctly, back in the day. But anyway, um, let's move on. I'm not sure we want to talk about the Parkerian Hexad. If anybody's interested in that, I'll leave it in the show notes. I found that kind of an interesting security model that kind of goes beyond the CIA triad. So if you're interested in that, it's actually a hexad being a six-sided, like a hexagon. So they add three new features to the security landscape out of just C, I, and A. There's other bits, so you can go check that out if you want to. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about? I mean, I wanted to talk about some power and influence stuff, but we're at an hour already, and I don't want to keep us any longer than we need to. Anybody have any questions on the chat? How did everybody feel about Walter Digital? How'd you feel about Bsides Seattle? I actually expected more people since I notified the Bsides Seattle Twitter that I was going to be talking about
Well, 500 is a lot. What was the max?
They said, what is it? I think Josh, Nerd Monkey, said it was 578 people. They gave out 576 lanyards, or 578 tickets were checked in out of like 750 tickets sold. So they sold out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, that was that's right. It was Digital Warhead's first B-side, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, yeah. Mike and I were talking about that. It was like four talks, four tracks, all at the same time, and like I had said, the coordinated vulnerability disclosure and the bug bounty program were happening at the same time, and I couldn't go to those. And since they weren't
Yeah.
recorded, I don't have a chance to go and see that person. And not everybody has a podcast, so I could reach out and go, hey, I want this person on because I didn't get to see their talk. That may be what I end up doing for some things. So we'll see what happens. But if anybody has any if people want to help me reach out to these speakers, and say, hey, you should come on BreakSack. I it would not go amiss, Walt or Mike there if you wanna help out. So, was there any talks at Bsides Austin that you wanted to see that you didn't get to see?
Uh, yeah, but I don't remember.
Okay,
So
well, the list is on Bsides Austin's website. Um, what I would love for you to do, Mr. Betcher, is reach out to those folks and see if they'll come on the show. And then we'll spend a Sunday with them talking about what you didn't get to see. And then I'll get to talk about what I didn't get to see either. And then everybody benefits. Um, I mean, unless they can't because, they were only cleared to do that conference. Yeah, that would be good. But um, yeah, so I was happy with the career village. Did they have a career village or do any kind of resume reviews or anything there?
no, nothing like that. Just
Okay.
bulletin boards.
Like you're hiring, here's a
Yeah.
job description or something like
Yeah.
that? Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. Being Austin, you got a lot of startups, you got people who probably are out of jobs as well. So it was, it's good to try to help out if when you can. I mean, we're assuming that it's a huge, there's a flooded market because the Microsofts and the Googles and the Amazons of the world have riffed a bunch of folks. Not all of them are security people, but there are some security people out there that were embedded with engineering teams that could probably look for a new challenge. So if any of you are looking for a position, one, take a hard look at your job descriptions before you start hiring again. Make sure they don't suck, especially for a junior position. Junior positions should not be looking for 2 to 3 years of experience or 2+ years of experience. Junior position means you should be training them, in my opinion. Don't ask for 5 years of experience in anything unless it's IT support or something like that, or they came from IT support, or you're looking for somebody with IT experience. But a junior position should not be 2 to 3 years of experience. That's not good. So that's my opinion, but I'm sticking to it, and I'm gonna fight you to death for that. So But yeah, take a look at your job descriptions before you start posting new jobs. And even if you're not the hiring manager, the people who you're trying to hire for, you're not going to fulfill. You're going to be shorthanded until they get people in. And if you don't help your company hire better people or hire smarter, you're going to be stuck with those backfill positions you can't fill. So
And
just a thought there that
on the other side of that coin, if you see a job that you're looking for, or the job description, and it says,
right.
you need to have a degree, you need to have 2 years experience in this, just apply for it. Those things are just to weed people out, right? And don't take it literally, right? You don't have to meet every single requirement. Just jump in,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Jump in, see
okay.
if you can swim. Hey, if you fail, at least you have experience, you got more interview time, right?
Right. Right. And so I'm gonna bat that ball back to you, crack. I talked to somebody who's looking for a position that was let go recently. Probably has applied to 100 different positions and has gotten like 3 interviews. I do not know why, and I wanted to be nice to that person, and because the same thing, my realtor said something that I remember when we were trying to sell our house, and he said, if you've had 10 showings and you don't get an offer, something's wrong with the house, or something's wrong with the price, or there's a something smells and you've got to fix it. And it's like, something's wrong with the house, and hopefully we'll get feedback and be able to fix that. I don't want to be negative to that person. If you're watching, I love you, man. I swear I do. And this comes from a place of love. 160 jobs and you haven't gotten a call back. We need to look at your resume and make sure that you're giving a good description of you, right? And it may be that you're just throwing shit out there, and that's fine too. But if you had 160 legit job ideas or legit job postings, and you didn't get a call back but for 3, I have to wonder about your resume. So we need to look at your resume, okay? Contact me,
Could be
okay?
something you're
And
not even
break
aware of, right? You just didn't know, or
right,
you haven't seen it. Just
right,
you need a different perspective.
right, right. I love you, man. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to be real with you if you're watching this. And for those of you who are looking for jobs, BreakSec Slack does. We have a career advice channel. We have a lot of folks in there more than willing to help out with some career advice, resume review. The BreakSec Discord also has a job board. I'm posting jobs in there like nobody's business, hybrid, remote, and on-site stuff for a myriad of different things, all the way from senior director positions all the way down to SOC analysts and stuff. And I did talk to several of my friends in the Seattle area that don't work for the big four up here, Mangoes and Fangs and those. They're going to be hiring in the next couple months because everything's kind of right sized again. And now we're kind of figuring out where everything's are. So if you are looking for a job, if you've been laid off, don't, take your vacation. It's great, but try to get back into the saddle as soon as you can. Because the longer you wait, yeah, I can wait. I got 3 months worth of money. I've got that set back. You start looking at the third month, it may take you 6 months to find another job. So by the end of the 6 month, you're like, oh my god, I can't even make rent. I don't know if I'm going to get kicked out. Start looking for a job immediately if you get riffed. Even if you want to take that vacation, don't wait. Don't wait. Anyway, I think we've done good tonight. Anything else you want to say before we go, Mr. Betcher?
Nope.
Cool. All right. Thanks to Digital Warhead, CPO Parker, Josh, who mentioned, VA2XJM, good ham radio. I can't pronounce it. It's cool. Thank you, Josh, for coming and hanging out. Bloodbound, Walt, glad you're recuperating, man. Appreciate it. And yeah, oh, Beowulf Music, thank you for coming and hanging out as well. Ring Zed, yeah, everybody. So yeah, you can find Mr. Betcher on Twitter at
Bet your pound.
okay, BOETTCHERPWNED. It's in the track along the top of the video if you want to watch that. You can follow me on Twitter at Brian Break. I'm on Mastodon at Brian Break at mastodon.social. Whichever is the big one. I don't do infosec.exchange. I do have an account there. I just don't use it. Um, you can follow us on Twitter at BreakSec. Sign up for our meetup if you're in the Seattle area. It's CSEC East. Just go to Meetup and look for SEC, You can find it. The new organizers are going to be doing some cool stuff, trying to get more involvement in the community. So that's available. Miss Berlin is not here tonight. Very much missed, but she told us, what was it she said? Hey, Walt. Hope you have a good night. She said, I have a flight at 4 a.m. I think that's what she said. I have a flight that leaves at 4 a.m. Not going to make it tonight. So I told her if she was eloping, she needed to tell us if that's what was going to happen. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. So you can find her on all the socials at InfoSister, INFOSYSTIR, and she does Hackers Health, which brings awareness of mental health issues to the information security community. You can find them on Twitter at Hackers Health, and I believe hackershealth.org is the website. Let me go see, hackershealth.org. Nope, that's not hackershealth.org. Okay. Mentalhealthhackers.org. My bad, mentalhealthhackers.org. You can go check out that. And Hackers Health on Twitter, but Mental Health Hackers. Anyway, that's it for the week. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please let us know on our various socials, and we'll talk to you all very soon. I'm Brian. This is Brian for Amanda. We all thank you for being here. We'd like you to be kind, take care of yourselves, because as we're fond of saying here, you're the only you have. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.